Most people don't ruin their lives with big mistakes. They ruin them with one simple phrase. "I'll start tomorrow." Mike repeated it for years until he realized something simple. He didn't need more motivation. He needed 5 minutes. Mike lived in a typical Midwestern town. No dramatic stories, no big failures, no disasters, just a 9-to-5 computer job, a daily commute, home, work, home. And from the outside, everything looked fine. A steady paycheck, a rented apartment, decent health. But inside, it felt different. Like he wasn't living the full version of himself, like this was just the demo version of his life. On a shelf sat an old sketchbook from college. He once dreamed of drawing comics and illustrations. On his desk was a book titled Spanish for Beginners. He opened it maybe once every 6 months. In his notes app, there was a list of goals he rewrote every year. Get in shape, level up his skills, improve his Spanish, read at least 1 book a month. Every January, he copied the same list and pushed it forward again. Evenings looked the same. Take-out dinner, the couch, endless scrolling on his phone, and the same familiar phrase, "I'm too tired today, I'll start Monday, next month, next year." And every time, nothing changed. One cold evening, Mike stood under a small awning outside his building. Rain poured down without mercy. Streetlights blurred across the wet pavement. He was already soaked from the walk home, waiting for the downpour to ease. Then, out of the darkness, a man in his 60s ran past. A light running jacket, completely drenched, a small backpack bouncing on his shoulders. He slowed down under the awning, catching his breath. Mike looked at him, surprised. "Are you seriously running in this weather?" The man smiled. "The first 5 minutes are the hardest. After that, it gets easier. Once you're past that, the rain doesn't really matter." He gave a small nod and ran back into the night. Mike stayed under the awning. The rain didn't stop, but something inside him shifted. The first 5 minutes. It wasn't about running. It wasn't about the rain. It was about him. All the way home, the words kept echoing in his mind, as he took off his wet jacket, as he unlaced his shoes. Just 5 minutes. At home, Mike automatically turned on his laptop, grabbed some snacks, opened Netflix. Same as always. But the image wouldn't leave him. A man in his 60s, running in the rain, and him, at 35, getting winded climbing to the 3rd floor. Mike opened the Notes app on his phone, the same list of goals, and suddenly he thought, I keep waiting for a full hour, but don't I have 5 minutes? The thought was so simple it almost made him laugh. Not the gym, not a new life, just 5 minutes. He set a timer, 5 minutes. He got down on the floor and started doing push-ups. A few reps in, his arms began to shake, his breathing turned uneven, but the timer was still running. For the rest of the time, he stretched. When it finally beeped, Mike felt something unexpected. Respect. He had done it. He hadn't postponed it. Then he picked up the book that had been sitting on his nightstand for 6 months. One rule, at least 1 page. He read 5. And for the first time in a long while, the evening didn't just disappear. The next day looked the same. Work drained him. All he wanted was to shut down. But now there was a new character in his story, the timer. Again? 5 minutes. Day after day. Sometimes with motivation. More often with stubbornness. But he didn't skip. After a week, he noticed something strange. On the days he missed it, something felt off, like something was missing. Those 5 minutes had become proof that he could keep a promise to himself. One evening, after finishing his routine, he realized he still had energy left. Maybe a little more. It started happening more often. 5 minutes turned into 10, then 15. A month later, he saw changes in the mirror. But the real change wasn't physical. He no longer saw himself as the guy who starts and quits. He saw someone who follows through. And he began applying the rule everywhere. 5 minutes of reading. 5 minutes of Spanish. 5 minutes of cleaning up. Life stopped being all or nothing. Even on his worst days, there were always 5 minutes. 6 months later, he opened his old notes again, 9 kilograms down. The sketchbook, now used at least once a week. Spanish. Hundreds of new words. But the most important change wasn't visible. He wasn't waiting for life to begin anymore. It already had. One day, Mike saw him again. The same man in the running jacket, standing near the park entrance, catching his breath after a jog. Sunlight filtered through the trees, a water bottle in his hand. Mike stopped. "You probably don't remember me," he said. "But once you told me the first 5 minutes are the hardest." The man looked at him for a moment, then gave a small smile. "I did? And?" Mike nodded. "I decided to test it." "It works," he added. The man smiled, a little wider. "It always does." He put his headphones back on and jogged off down the sunlit path. Mike watched him go, and this time he didn't wait for things to feel easier. He already knew. You just start. Maybe you saw yourself in this story. The same someday list, the same evening exhaustion, the same phrase, tomorrow. Mike didn't need a new year. He didn't need Monday. He didn't need more motivation. He needed 5 minutes. Not to change his life in a day, but to rebuild trust with himself. And if your problem feels bigger than his, maybe it doesn't start with something bigger. Maybe it starts with something small, 5 minutes. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, today.